Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nancy from Neha Inc. here at the Camp Street Handball Courts, located at 332 Cambridge Street in Worcester, Mass.
How you doing? And this is Will Ortiz from the New England Handballers, and we're here because we may have to relocate our tournament. We really wanted it here because we're pushing hard to get the 4 courts here. We've been pushing for years, and we had a little renovation done in 2007 that we worked with the city and other investors that gave a donation for us to fix this 15 years ago, just a little bit better. But that was considered a Band-Aid job. And we'll show you why we want a new court. Obviously, this is an old 3-wall court, but this is cinder block. We had this skin coated by a plaster when that was done. And I've been maintaining it ever since because, it held for a few years, but, it still keeps, it takes a lot of water, a lot of damage. So you see a split right in the middle. I mean, that's just paint, you scrape that and that just kind of happens. But we don't use the sidewalls because there's not enough running space anyway for 3-wall. We have, but we don't really use it for 3-wall like that. You're running into the grass. But what we noticed the other day, what we were talking about when we came by yesterday, was there was a lot of dirt and grease on the courts. The rain has washed it and kind of covered it a little bit. But here, it says you can kind of still see, the oil that was on there. So whatever they were doing, let's say they drilled a hole here. And I don't know if they were testing the soil or I'm not sure what they were doing. They left an indent, which you can see now that we didn't have before here. And another one there. Those weren't there. That's from heavy machinery, truck, whatever it was, when they were doing what they were doing. Like I said, these courts are bad enough as it is. Once we ended up with Crompton, people didn't want to use these as much, but it's in the best location. Everyone sees it as you can hear all the cars in the background. Thousands and thousands of cars pass through here every day, so it's great for our sport. And one of the things that obviously we need for our sport is a lot of publicity. We need people to see it. And a lot of times when we talk about handball, people always mention this court because it's been here since the early 70s. There used to be an old one, I guess, on that side over there, on the other side of the South Worcester Neighborhood Center, an old, I think it was a wooden court. But other than that, this one has been here since, I believe, the early to mid 70s, all the way till now, but with some changes. The old the old court only went up to the line and to the long lines, and it had longer side walls. So the running space was kind of dumb that they did it that way originally, because the game is not, you don't just stay on. That's where the ball bounces. Obviously, everybody that plays handball or racquetball, they know that we run off the courts. So we added 5 feet, and this was done, like I said, through a donation from the Worcester Rotary Club and something that a former city council fought hard for and was able to get us that, with other people too. But anyway, we may have to do our tournament at Green Hill Park because of these little changes here. Like I said, we really wanted to do it here. Plus we have the keys to the bathroom here. We have, and people can see it. But it's because we're pushing for the 4 courts here, along with the basketball court being renovated. This is not as desired because the majority of the people that are playing here are one-wallers, one-wall big wallers. But we're really trying to get people to play it all, you know what I mean? But if you wanted to play 3-wall, you couldn't really play as, you could, but you can't, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. I mean, it's not as fun if you have really short walls. You know what I mean? You make it work, but it's still kind of like people gonna run into each other and get hurt more, you know what I mean? So we don't want anybody getting injured. But even on this side, as you can see, it is large enough for 4 courts. But we don't know what worked. Like I said, we've been patching and patching. I'm always patching. I never wanted to paint the floors dark green, but every time I went lighter, there seemed to be so many bikes, so many ATVs, you name it. I mean, different types of vandalism, not just on the wall, but on the floor. So when I went with the dark green, although I don't like the dark colors if you can't see the ball, it seemed to deter the activity a little bit, because I think it's psychological with the people that like to kind of see their scuff marks and stuff like that and peel out with their bikes. This stuff is here after painting. See, there's like some oil here. And I don't want to go through scrubbing it and doing all of that as it is. I already had to patch the wall quite a bit of times. You're gonna have a lot of funny bounces. And I was gonna put some type of awning on the top for the tournament because the backside, you get a lot of sun in your eyes. So after like 1:30, 2 o'clock, it's almost like this is 1.5 courts.
You're talking about a tarp, right?
Yeah, like a tarp kind of thing. So the sun, like it would work like a sun visor. But it's effective, but not completely effective. So then that side becomes, unless it's a cloudyish day today, that side, or earlier on in the day, after like 2 o'clock, you can't play on that side. I mean, the sun, this is like a one, like I always say, a 1.5 sided court, because that court, unless it's cloudy, you cannot play on it whatsoever. Also, this is kind of, it creates a moat in the back. There, we probably could move the boards and the water would recede a little quicker. But you got to keep the ball because the fence, the balls go out into the street. But it's really because of that. We know that we have better courts now with Crompton and even Green Hill's better. But the location, in order to get what we want done and the agenda that we have, we think this is one of the most important locations. For its history and its location. And we have a neighborhood center right there with, people and a person that is doing some positive stuff in the park. And, the former director of that program there did a lot of stuff in this neighborhood and in that park. So I think that's good to have here. And there's a lot of stuff they've done here. So, I mean, it's a good place to develop youth. And it's in the city, you know what I mean? Like where Green Hill's beautiful, and it's in the city, but it's still kind of out of the way for some people. Because if you're not getting dropped off, it's kind of a long walk for some people. So this can be if you're on the other side of the city, but it's still a little more accessible and visible to people. But Green Hill has 4 courts, and it's one of our only locations that has 4. 2 of them are becoming, I want to say unusable, but they're getting pretty bad, and that's on the side that doesn't have the fencing. And now that we're going through something with the meeting that you just went to, we're trying to get that additional fencing, and there are other pushes, other people that are trying to help us with that. We think that it's a good choice to move the tournament up there as well. But it's really because of this. Being that there's 2 indents now and the oil, I don't want to go through all of that cleaning and all that, because I just rather be focused on getting the tournament to be successful, and we have people coming from different places, and we want to make sure that even if they lose, they can continue playing on the backside, and while we still continue to host and finish the tournament. But anyway, like I said, this is one of the key things. We really want to see this court get redone, have the 4, so we can work with the neighborhood center and with the community to help and grow the sport. You know what I mean? For the youth to continue playing and having a long future for handball, and also for the adults too. Obviously we want them to continue playing. You know what I mean? But this place has a lot of potential because of, like I said, the neighborhood center and its visibility and its history. And this is where we kind of started, mostly in Worcester, to really kick off what we've been trying to do and what I started doing in Western Mass, in Holyoke, Mass, and Springfield, and that area. So anyway, unfortunately, we're going to have to push to relocate the tournament for June 4th, the B doubles. Like I said, any other people that want to come to attend that event, if you can still come and play. I mean, if you just want to connect and meet people and play, the other side is going to be open. That's not, we're not going to be using, we're mainly going to be using the main side, the fenced side, and the other side is just going to be open for warm-ups, and we're probably not going to do no matches on the other side, but people can continue playing pickup games and stuff like that up there. So invite everybody to come, if they want to continue playing.
But we have a permitted event, so we want to have the pickup games after the event is over.
No. Well, I mean, you can still play pickup games. I think that it's just going to be something that's just going to happen. Now it's part of the game. If you are playing and people are playing on the other side, there are times that if it's excessive, you may want the people, let's say, especially if it's a game that's having some issues already and the ball's coming over constantly, then we may have to stop a match or something just to get that one through because of that problem occurring. That's why it's important to have the permit. Because sometimes people may refuse to say, hey, I don't want to stop my game. So you have to, because we need to get this match done, and it needs to be a fair done. It could be the finals, it could be whatever, you know what I mean? I think every game is important, not just the finals, but obviously the finals seems to be the key.
All matches are important.
All matches are important because people are trying to get to the finals. So if you start treating one match lesser than the other ones, then you're not really respecting the entire tournament. You know what I mean? Because that could be the reason why someone doesn't make it any further, because that match wasn't respected because of all. But if it's in the middle of part of the tournament, like I said, if one of the other courts can be used, then we will use it. But I got to see which one is the least usable or the most usable. You know what I mean? Because they're starting to open up on the floors. At Green Hill, you'll see it on Saturday that one side is a little bit worse. I don't have the time to really fix those up a little bit better. And I am going to do some work up there and clean it off and make sure everything's usable. But that side needs a certain level of work, and we're really trying to push that the city finally does something there. You know what I'm saying? So if I make it look better, like we've been doing with this, then they tend to look at it and say it's not that bad, and they push it off and fix something else somewhere else. So that's one of the problems that I've been having and running into, where I spend much more time repairing and maintaining the court than actually probably like working on developing new players and keeping the old players or the current players playing. You know what I mean? But that's one of the reasons why we try to maintain the courts, because we want people to have safe places and fun places to play on and usable.
It's not just safe places, courts that up to playing standards.
And this is not really playing the sides, because obviously it's regulation for one wall, so not regulation for three walls, like a hybrid court. But even running space, you run into grass, you have some limitations. Obviously on outdoor courts, it seems to occur a lot more when people try to improve, or if they build a court when they don't really know what they're doing, they make something that's kind of a hybrid court. If they were trying to do a real three-wall court and it was just going to cost way too much money, then they end up making something more like this, which, like I said, this used to have longer walls, but they only came out another 5 feet. But even with that design, it was a poor design, and the people that were using the court or started using the court in the late 70s and early 80s were more like one-wallers. They weren't really the three-wall community that probably started on these courts, this one, Castle and Green Hill, that were the old three-wall courts. They really didn't have one-wall courts here, with the exception of Plumley, which was a wooden court, and Grapeville Valley that had one of the community center, and the older courts that were one-wall courts and Chandler that had a one-wall court kind of just made on the side of a building on 2 locations there, and eventually one, and eventually now none, because no one's playing there anymore. But that's why we're just trying to keep the sport alive, and that's why we're very protective of the courts. That's why we always feel that if someone's going to do any work near or around courts, that they're still have to clean up after themselves. If you're repairing the wall, you put something for the floors. If you are doing work that's going to require, if you have a big oil leak on your vehicle or something, then you should clean up after that. You shouldn't leave a place that not just kids, but people are going to use. You shouldn't have it all covered with oil and dirt, and so that way when someone comes there, it stops them from using it. It doesn't make any sense to damage something to fix something else, or just to damage something while you're doing something else. You should clean up after yourself. So we're just wondering who and what did that, and if it was related to people testing the soil for the future courts that are going to be done here.
What do they need
we
to
don't
test
know
the
when.
soil?
No, we don't really know if they did something or something strange like that, because it really looks like they drilled a hole and they had some type of equipment there, and they did the same thing on the other side. And I don't know if they did it in any other parts. We'll look around to see. But if that's done, your vehicle's leaking, whether it's hydraulic or regular oil, whatever it is, then you should clean up after yourself. Even if it's a quick clean, throw some Speedy Dry, whatever it is, clean a little bit, and make note of it. We try not to mess it up too much, but a lot of times I don't really care. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's good news if it was for that. But the bad news is we have an event on
We
Saturday.
need to confirm if that was the case.
Yeah. I mean, it's good if
We're
it's
just
for.
making assumptions.
If it's good, I mean, it's good if it's for the courts that we're waiting for, and we've been waiting for years. But it's bad because we're still waiting for those courts, and a lot of times those projects may take a year or so to get done. I mean, the actual job doesn't take that long, but once they break ground and all that, we don't know if that's going to be done in a couple of months, or is it going to take something's going to prolong it, or we don't know that. So meanwhile, we want to be able to use the courts. You know what I'm saying? So, and we have plans to work with youth in the neighborhood. And, you know, like I said, we don't want to have to come in. I don't want to scrub the court. And I don't have access to water, really. So it's not like I can open a fire hydrant.
And it's not our job to do that kind of work.
The thing is, it's not. But as volunteers, I don't mind doing some of it. I just want to do it no matter what and always have to do it. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? That I don't want to have to do it no matter what. You know. Anyway, we're going to look around and see if there was something else that was done. And like I said, this is a very busy location. That's why you hear all the noise in the background. You know, so.
Have a good day, everybody. We'll update it on our website. We'll update it on our Facebook page so that people will know we got to change the location for these reasons. Goodbye.